We got people still in the hallway, so just chat amongst yourselves for a few minutes, and then I'll call to order. I know it's not on. It never is first thing. What? Yeah. We got a mic yet? Anything on? Those that aren't registered voters, if you'd please sit up in the front corner here by the flag, if you are not a registered voter. Thank you. Huh? I know, I tried.
Once you start, if you could just remind our department heads that they need to speak on their articles. That is a bylaw.
I put it on?
I know you did. Just remind me,
Yeah.
because I don't want to misspeak.
Okay, yeah. You have to have somebody, an emissary from your department here, or we can call it moot.
I have to go see my little bottle.
I left a little sheet here for you.
I saw that.
This gives you an idea of what has to happen for two-thirds vote, nine-tenths vote, and how we end up in the ballot. So,
Oh, okay. Well, leave it there.
He's gonna move the, sewer 18 and 19 up to the one 18 and 19, as long as everybody agrees, get all the heavy hitters out of the way. And then, kind of fly through the
Okay, we're on. All right. While we're waiting for people to check in, I'd like to cover some housekeeping issues. In the past, we've been kind of loose on the call to question motion when we're in the middle of a discussion and we want to move the question to a vote. So I did a little research on it, went back and reread the book again a couple times, and in order to pass that motion or to do that motion, you will need to be recognized. You just can't holler out, call to question or move to question. It has to come from a recognized individual. All right, it does carry a second. You'll have to have a second. It has to have a vote, and then we can move on with it. So the old practice of just hollering out, move to question is now moot, and we'll have to be recognized for that. Tonight, you notice there's a change here with the yellow wristbands. Going forward, you'll probably see that a lot. We're making attempts to move to an electronic voting system that will allow us to do ballot votes electronically. We're not quite there yet. In the meantime, because of insinuations of improprieties on my part and other parts from a previous meeting that people that were not registered to vote were voting, and said article was passed because of that, we're not taking anything for granted anymore. So you'll be issued a wristband. You won't be able to get a ballot if you don't have the wristband on, and there will be ballot votes tonight. For department heads, you will need to speak to your articles. Okay, so if there's any questions on any appropriations you have here, you will need to speak to those. If a question comes up and there is not a representative from that department here, we can, by the bylaws, call it moot, and that motion is thrown out. So the selectmen aren't always relied on to answer your questions. You need, if you're a department head, you need to have somebody here for your meeting. Tonight when we vote, we will do a clockwise rotation from my viewpoint, which we will start and go this direction, come down to here, you'll pick up your ballot. The ballot box is where you will put your actual ballot the way you want to vote. The way you don't want to vote will be dropped in the bag next to it. That's the trash, okay? So, how are we doing by the door? Is there anybody else out in the hall? Nope, good. If you would please join me in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Because we have a number of people that are here supporting different causes, I want to try and move the heavy articles up to the very beginning, which means Article 18 and 19, I would like to move to right directly behind Article 1. So we are doing ballot votes in order, and we don't have to jump back and forth to do things. To do that, I need your approval. So all those that would be in favor of moving Articles 18 and 19 in the agenda to behind Article 1, please signify by raising your hand. Those opposed? One person. Okay, that carries. We'll be moving those forward. Article 1, to see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money to be expended with the approval of the Board of Selectmen to pay costs of designing, permitting, and constructing upgrades to the municipal properties located at 56 School Street, 58 School Street, 65 Donovan Road, including the payment for all costs incidental and related thereto, and further to see that the town will vote or will authorize the treasurer with approval of the select board to borrow said amount pursuant of general laws, chapter 44, section 7, number 1, or any enabling authority for such purpose, and to issue bonds and notes of transfer therefor Provided, however, that any appropriations or borrowing authorization, shall be contingent upon passage of the Proposition 2.5 so-called debt exclusion ballot question pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 21C, K, or take any action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town appropriates $6,120,000 to be expended with the approval of the Board of Selectmen to pay costs of designing, permitting, and constructing upgrades to the municipal properties located at 56 School Street, 58 School Street, and 65 Donovan Road, including the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto, and that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the Select Board, is authorized to borrow said amount pursuant to General Law, Chapter 44, Section 7-1, or any other enabling authority for such purpose, and to issue bonds and notes of the town therefore. Provided, however, that this appropriation and borrowing authorization shall be contingent upon passage of a Proposition 2.5 so-called debt exclusion ballot question pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 21CK.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Would the chief like to speak to the project? Chief of the Fire Department.
Hi, good evening. Joe Holloway, Fire Chief.
Yeah, it's on. He just needs to talk into it.
I'm sorry. Good evening, everyone. Joe Holloway, the Fire Chief. First and foremost, I'm sorry about my back being turned to you. I want to thank you, everybody, for coming tonight to listen in on this article, and the Board of Selectmen, the Finance Board, and the committee regarding this issue. The North Brookfield Fire Department has outgrown our building, and I think I don't have to get into a real long explanation. I think most people have been through and seen. We can't even walk behind our trucks. The rescue truck that comes out first thing for all our calls, we have to open the door to get by it to get in. And then we got 18 inches to get in. And it's okay for me because I'm nice and thin, but some of the guys are having trouble with that. We've been looking to do something for a long time with the fire department, with the past administrations, Jim Black, Brad Gannon, and we've designed and been through this process quite a few times. 5 years ago, the committee was formed with the selectmen's approval, and we started working with the architect who is here tonight, Jeff from Tecton, who did the police station. Thank you, Jeff. So if you have any questions for him. And as we developed the program, we found that the cost of building a new fire station was extremely expensive. As we went along, we managed to get it to around $8 million 4 years ago in that neighborhood. And those figures are just astronomical, just for a fire station, knowing that the town needed other things to be done. But we started moving forward with that, and then COVID hit. And in the meantime, the selectmen were able to have an opportunity to purchase Hucks. There's one thing that Brad and I had asked for years was if we could ever take over the highway, we could clean up the two buildings and that piece of property really well. Not that the highway leaves it messy, but it's a highway. And with the police station done across the street, we were hoping that we could get nice lawns in and shrubbery, get the buildings all set and put the trucks in the highway and renovate the old firehouse into headquarters. That was a dream that one of the selectmen, Mr. Petritis, knew about for years. And when this opportunity came, they asked me in for a meeting, and I was all over it when we started looking at it, because as much as, you know, if we had that chance to buy Franny's building, in essence, between the three buildings, getting them all cleaned up to standards that we meet with NFPA and with the Department of, which one, Jeff? The last one was, yeah, the building codes. We were able to get this, all three buildings, we figure, for the $6 million. And of course, that figure is a big figure because we have inflation costs. But it saves us now to build the, Jeff will attest to this, right now, if we were to try to do a fire station again, we're comfortably at least 13 million, believe it or not. The escalation costs are just unreal. And that would only take care of the fire department. So when this opportunity came up, we had to jump at it, at the figures that were there. But the savings in the long run is tremendous. It's probably over almost $7 million right now that we're saving by doing it. We're adding 4 acres of property down below next to the sewer property. They're near their salt shed. They're able to get their equipment spread out in a safer manner and not coming out onto School Street. And they need something. The highway is an old building also that needs to be renovated. And you wouldn't want to be working in there. I know when I go in to visit them, I feel bad. So safety is a big issue for us. We don't meet the standards. We don't have exhaust systems in the fire station. So we have diesel carbon all over the walls. We have a video, but I didn't bring it tonight. We wash the walls and it's disgusting. And that's all over our gear. We're going out every shift now, every single shift. We're doing close to 1,000 calls. So every time those trucks start up, it's just smoke in the building. And I don't know about you guys, but it certainly isn't the right thing to do. We do have Department of Public Safety has been going to firehouses recently. They adopted OSHA rules and regulations, and they're pretty stringent. And one of the biggest things is having a clean building. So the way I see this is a chance of a lifetime, in all honesty. By dropping it down what we can, the finance board will explain any finances, obviously, that will affect you people, everybody in town, and I'm one of you people. So we did diligence to get this extremely inexpensive and do a nice job and utilize buildings that we already have and make it safe for everybody and bring everything up to code. So it'll take care of the highway, it'll take care of the fire department, it'll clean up that neighborhood. It has great opportunities there, and it has to go together because if it doesn't, then nobody can move. So it's kind of a dream come true for us that have been around for a long time. I think we work extremely hard for the town. We've done over $1 million worth of grants. The only fire truck the town's even bought in the last several years, believe it or not, is the ladder truck, and that was 12 years ago. All the other pieces in there either been bought by grants. The last truck was $550,000 that we got from a grant.
Okay, Joe,
Yep.
we need to
Yep.
bring it back to the subject of the
Okay,
buildings.
I'm sorry. The point being is we've done everything we possibly can to try to keep costs down and keep our budget where it needs to be. And the safety is a major issue right now and bringing it up to code. So if we can make this happen, I just want to mention one last thing and I'll shut up. I am pursuing several grants, and I think the Finance Board's going to explain where
Are these,
we have time. Yeah, these are important for them to
but
hear.
are they germane to the buildings?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, these are, the firefighter assistant grant, I just put in for a new fire truck this year, but next year I can put it in for the ventilation system if this gets passed, which could be like $100,000 worth right there. The firefighter safety grants that I get, they're only $12,000 and $15,000 grants, but that's the computers that you see in the list. That's the smaller items within the station. I already got one grant through the MIA insurance company for wellness grant for all the outdoor activity stuff, because you have to have a wellness center for firefighters today, believe it or not. We're just so far behind. This would leap us into the right century. The other one is a VFA grant that I can get equipment. These grants I get every year. I've had good luck with them. And then the firehouse sub-grant, believe it or not, offers out quite a bit of money. There is legislation right now. There's a bill that's been filed that doesn't have a docket number to actually for public buildings construction. Like the AFG grant right now is a big grant, but you can only buy equipment with it. You can't use it towards buildings. There is a big push from the Fire Chiefs Association and the senators and the state reps right now to get a docket number on this bill. If it happens, then we can apply, even if we pass this today. In fact, we're better off if we do pass this, to apply for that grant, Of course, there's no promises like anything else, but I think it would be in good shape to get a big chunk of money to come on this. So any impact that FinCom might bring out tonight, we might be able to curb those few years that there's a little bit of an increase. So we're going to do our diligence to do that with that said. And there's also a community action grant that fire departments down south have been using and starting to get some building materials out of that. So without any further ado, I just want to say thank you for coming tonight, and I hope you think of our safety and let us move forward with making a nice project for the community and doing the right thing.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Joe.
Thank you.
Is there anything else to be said? Anything at all? Yes, sir. Please step to the mic and identify yourself.
Leo Egan at 2 Downey Road. I'm asking about the buildings that you have in town. We're talking about Huck's, old Huck's Garage that we purchased back in December of '21. We haven't used it once since because it needs too much work. Now, is the $900,000 that they're looking for in with the fire, the new fire station and all that, or are we voting on that different? Anybody got an answer for that?
Do you want to speak to it?
Orvie with Tecton Architects. It is all rolled into this one budget, so that $6 million figure includes the renovations to the existing fire headquarters, the renovations of the former highway department into apparatus space for the fire department, and the work over at the new highway department site. So that's all three buildings would get
So then
improvements.
Then we paid $1.5 million back in December of '21. Now we're looking for another $900,000. What did we buy in '21?
I'm sorry, I
Please
didn't
direct
have
your
anything
questions
to-
through the chair, please. Okay. Is this one you can answer? This sounds like a selectman's
Yeah,
question
I
to me.
didn't
but
have anything
he's-
to do with that, was all I was gonna say. So.
Could you repeat the question, please?
My question is that we paid $1.5 million for a building back in December of 2021, and we haven't done nothing in the building. This is 2023. And is the 900,000 included in the new fire station and all that? Why is that included? Why are we adding that to the fire station when we should be voting on that different? We just spent $1.5 million for it. Why do we need to put another $900,000 into this building? That's my question.
We knew going into it that it was gonna be, that there were gonna be repairs that needed to be made. And we made that point at that meeting. And I believe it's 700,000, not 900.
Okay, 700 's still 700.
But they all need to be done together.
Why is that? That's my question, why?
Because, as the chief explained earlier, that the logistics of moving the two departments require it.
Okay, my question then is, we have 66% of the town people on fixed incomes. You guys are asking for this kind of money. How do you expect people to live in North Brookfield with this figures going at us and hitting us with these kind of figures when we're all retired and people are trying to make a living in North Brookfield and trying to do it?
Well,
And
that's
trying to
why
not
we're-
budget
that's why-
some of this.
That's why we're here to talk about it and vote on it. Because there's people that want it and there's people that might not, so we all get together and discuss it.
Okay.
Okay, anything else to be said? Yes, sir.
Joe Hallway, Fire Chief. Leo, I certainly understand what you're saying, and that was all in consideration. There's one aspect here, I'm not going to talk about the financials, I'll leave that up to the Finance Board, but I do know for a fact there's several big-ticket items coming off the tax base, and 4 or 5 of them are coming off within the next few years. We're not even going to be hitting the tax base for the next couple of years. And again, I will leave that up to FinCom to discuss, but there is there's big ticket items such as the high school, the library, our ladder truck, these are all hitting really soon to come off your tax base, and we're kind of just filling it back in, basically. There is a jump for a couple years, so that was a consideration, along with the grants that we're gonna do. So I think we're gonna be in extremely good shape, but again, if ever anybody has questions for the finance board, they can answer those.
Yes, sir. Could you please step up and identify yourself?
Ethan Malad, 17 Ashley Road. I was just wondering if there is any breakdown of sort of where this 6 million is going per property. Just curious to know sort of how much is going into renovation of the existing firehouse, how much is going into the existing highway barn, and then what we've got to put into the new highway barn, and what, particular in the new highway barn, sort of what do we need to do at that building at this point to make it operable?
All right. First, I'll start with the new highway barn. We are looking at re-roofing, replacement of overhead doors and operators, some new heating units, insulating the envelope so that we can be more efficient, new lighting, some tile, some interior renovations to that office area. That area is a bit rough. The electrical work to support those overhead doors. And then there's some metal siding repair. If you go into the building during the daytime, you can see there's a couple holes in the metal siding, and there's a piece of metal flashing up at the corner of the eave that needs replacement. There's a few repairs like that. And then we do have a little bit of allowance for any structural adjustments that need to be made as we go through that, because when we add the insulation to the building, sometimes you have to address additional snow loading for that. The hard cost for that comes to just under $700,000. By the time you do all the markups and the general conditions of the contractor, it gets up a little bit higher than that to just about $1 million. And that includes all of the soft costs. It's a total all-in project, not just the hard construction costs. So the balance of that, the 4 million, just almost shy of 5 million, goes to the two buildings for the fire station. Again, the raw construction cost for the renovation of the existing fire headquarters comes in at $1,561,000, and then the renovations to the former DPW, or what is actually today is the current DPW, falls in at $1.4 million. And again, there's contingencies, escalation costs, which is very important in this market to make sure that, you know, by the time this thing is out and bid to the contractors, that we've accounted for any escalation that happens over that period. And then, of course, the soft costs, all the other costs that make up a total project.
Could I ask a follow-up question?
Say again?
Could I ask a follow-up question?
Yes, sir.
Are there any costs that could be considered as unnecessary or available for cutting to reduce the budget?
So there have been a number of things that have been cut already to bring this number down lower. I think, you know, one of the things that we think about from a design perspective, and, you know, I think the chief could answer any other issues on this cutting question, but one of the things that we think about as architects, and particularly one like me who designs public safety facilities for a living, is making sure that we end up with a safe environment for the firefighters. And I gotta tell you, the standards have changed an awful lot. When I did fire stations 36 years ago, it was completely different than what we do today. Now we think about the contaminants that come back on all the apparatus and the turnout gear for the into the station. And if you're living and working in that environment, that means that you're living with all those potential carcinogens all the time. So there's been a lot of change in the way that HVAC systems are designed and how you locate equipment and clean that equipment in the buildings. And those things are accommodated in here. But I will tell you, this project is a long way from the standard for a new fire station. It really is taking advantage of some existing building assets and making the best use you can of them. And the repairs are basic repairs and those things that are absolutely required to make sure that it's a safe working environment.
And you would consider those repairs being necessary for safety as well at the highway barn, and the highway barn cannot be utilized without any of these repairs that you're suggesting?
I think the big issue over at the highway barn is, well, first off, creating an appropriate work environment. The office over there are really tough, but also making sure that you have a building that is efficient from an operational standpoint. It has paper-thin insulation on the existing walls there, and the HVAC system, mechanical system is very out of date. Much more efficient equipment can be located in there. So I think I would characterize those as more repairs to make sure that it's an effective envelope and a safe, or a workable work environment, more so than I would say that that's about safety.
Thank you.
Is there anything else to be said? Okay, Joe, let's hear from somebody. Joe, let's hear from somebody else here in a minute. We'll go from there.
Tashina Holmes, 11 Union Street. So I was at the meeting when we talked about buying this building. And I know that a lot, at least for me and a lot of people I know, were really frustrated and upset that it wasn't exactly what we thought. The building was a little bit in worse repair than we thought, and it needs a little bit more cost than we thought. And some people are upset that we haven't exactly gone anywhere with it until now. But to me, like, what's more important isn't that we made mistakes in the past. The fact is we need this right now. And I know that without the highway department moving and then the fire department moving, we also can't move forward with the complete streets project as well. So, I mean, I know that it's frustrating and I know that there's been a lot of talk about it and social media and stuff and disagreeing, but the thing is, our town needs this right now, and we need to be able to move forward so we can move forward with the other projects and stuff. And I know none of us want to spend more money. I live by myself with my 4 children, and I own a house, and I have to pay taxes, and it sucks. But at the end of the day, the few extra $100 a year on my taxes will be worth it for our town to have a safe highway department and a safe fire department, and for our town to be able to move forward with the complete street projects. So.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else to be said? Anything at all? Okay, Joe, one more time.
I always forget something, I'm sorry. Just to let you know how hard we've tried to cut the cost down. Jay and I actually traveled to Rutland to a home that was renovating a kitchen. They want to do a break room, obviously, so they have a place to sit in a clean spot. We actually got all the countertops, the cabinets, a brand-new microwave, a stove, everything. We've been collecting as much as we can for this whole project, trust me. And it's all sitting in storage right now, brand new, and we try to utilize that. That's to the extent we've been for this. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Joe. Anything else to be said? Yes, sir. Please step to the mic and identify yourself.
Jamie Gilman, 43 Elm Street. Yeah, I'm more interested in really what it means to us. I see a spreadsheet here, and average single value, home value, $305,000. And I'm kind of looking down the sheet here. In the first year, 393. And I'm looking at another spreadsheet. Is there somebody here that can explain this? Because everybody wants a new fire station. I mean, everybody wants to do the right thing. But looking at the spreadsheet, it's hard to connect it to exactly what it means to us as individuals. So is there somebody that can kind of explain that?
Is there somebody in the finance committee that can give a rundown on this?
My name is Mike Zelansky. I'm chairman of the Finance Committee. Having been a financial analyst all my life, to me, this is relatively self-explanatory. If your average house is worth $305,000, then your household taxes will go up by $393 in that first year.
Okay. But that's not all we're talking about here tonight, right?
No,
Okay, so when I see and I'm glad we're putting the articles together, but again, trying to figure out what it means to me. So if we approve the $6 million, then we're approving the 393, right? And then as we go down the articles, that 393 is added to the $400 on the next sheet for the sewer project?
yes,
Okay. And then as we move to the next sheet, okay, is this putting it all together?
yep,
Okay. So at the end of the day, for a $300,000 house, that first year increase in taxes is, I'm not a financial analyst, so I'm not real help.
this is the first time the Finance Committee has seen these sheets ourselves, so.
Okay, okay. And I'm not trying to give you a hard time.
Which page are you looking on?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I don't even know.
There's a
mean,
page-
should be embarrassed. I mean, I look at spreadsheets.
No,
as
don't be
part of my-
embarrassed.
All right.
There's a page that says combined projects, both fire and sewer, okay? It's got a little yellow box up in the up-hand, right-hand corner.
Yes, sir.
So you're seeing the gray section, taxpayers and sewer users.
Yes, sir.
For the average family in 2023, for the average home of $305,000, your tax bill would increase by $400.
Okay, and that's the whole kit and caboodle.
That's it.
Buildings, the sewer,
Building and sewer.
$400 a year.
Yep.
Okay,
Following year, it's $436,
No?
because as they continue to borrow money for the cost of the construction, it'll go up. And it will go up for a few years, but then it will start coming down again.
Okay.
Once things start getting paid off.
okay.
Okay?
Our clerk here is going to help with the explanation. She's gone through that list quite extensively, and I think we'll be able to give a better rundown on how the sheet's actually laid out and what we'll show.
I love talking in public.
I know.
The first sheet says fire and highway project. So the first column is our outstanding current debt. That's what we're currently paying on. The next three columns are the principal and interest and the total for just the fire and highway project. Based on the $305,000 value, the average household will increase each year by the amount in the yellow column. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. The next sheet, we're not to that article yet, but it's just for the sewer project. The blue is the cost that will be incurred by all the taxpayers. Then the pinky color is just the sewer users, but that will all be explained on the next article. And if you go down every year, it shows the dollar amounts.
All right, so Tara, just because I'm not all that smart.
Neither am I.
So on that first line, on the first sheet was $393, right?
Yep.
So I can write $393, okay?
And then
And then
2024, it's gonna be 377.
All right, but bear with me. So
Yep.
I got the 393 on the first sheet, and then
Yep.
on the second sheet, there's the $400 in the first line.
That's for the sewer project.
Okay, so we approve everything. It's 393 plus 400.
Yep.
Okay, all right,
And sewer users get the last column. Allison's here, she can also help explain it.
Right, and I'm just trying to understand, because
Am I doing it right?
I think there's a bit of a confusion.
Okay.
Allison Beljo, treasurer.
I'm just gonna sit down now.
I appreciate your courage for standing up the first time and asking that question.
We got these spreadsheets from our financial advisor at Unibank, who we work with for any borrowing. And when I spoke to him yesterday to clarify, that's not the amount of the increase, that's what you're paying now towards debt. So when you look at that first sheet, the first column, fiscal year 2023, on our outstanding debt, right now on an average house, you're paying $393. Then when you move down, you see how it goes up because projects are added, and then it goes down as projects fall off. But it's not a 393 increase over what you're paying now towards debt. That is for 2023 what you're paying towards debt based on your home rate. So it's just a little, it's
Yeah.
worded, yeah, it's the total amount you'll pay towards debt, not an increase over what you're paying now towards debt.
Right.
I hope that clarifies it.
Did that make sense?
Yeah, I just want to know what it means to me. And I'm not trying to be an ass or anything, I think a lot of people are kind of wondering the same thing. So 393 is what we're paying now.
On the current debt that
On the
we
current
have
debt,
outstanding.
okay? So if we do the fire station, okay, then it starts to go down but then come up? Or is this
No.
this is the current, do nothing,
No.
good?
We're
Can the
not gonna be-
can the treasurer or the accountant, please, or, excuse me, whichever one of you came up with this sheet, the treasurer or the accountant, or both of you, come up and give us the financial numbers, and I'll let the clerk off the hook.
Thank you.
You don't see the fire project hit till 2025. So that's where you see in the pink, you have interest payments that year when you start this project. And that's when you see in the yellow, the bigger increase. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, this fire project isn't gonna hit till 2025.
Okay.
So for the next 2 years, you're just paying on current debt, which is like your library, your high school that you're still paying off,
Okay.
your fire truck. Like, right now, you have $765,000 in outstanding debt.
All right, so if I'm reading this right, so we do the fire station, we're paying 393 now,
Right.
and at most, it goes to 604.
Right, because you have some things falling off
Okay,
over the
so I
next few
mean,
years.
so we're really talking $200 and some change.
Right, and
A year,
the second page is for the sewer project, which is coming up.
okay,
The last page is if both pass and combined. That's what you would look at. So they're broken out separately and then they're combined.
okay, so combined,
Combined, now this section here is for the town.
okay,
This section is just for sewer users.
Gotcha.
And that will be explained.
gotcha. But here,
This is just sewer users in blue.
yep, but here is really
Yes.
everything together,
Correct.
that first year, the $400.
That's what you're doing now.
Okay, so we're gonna go from,
Yeah, I don't know why it's a few dollars different,
okay,
but
okay.
it's because
So
he
close
has,
enough,
yeah, it's
all
because
right,
he has that.
within a few dollars. But really, with everything included, we're still just talking about going up at most about $240? From 400 to 640?
606, 640. Yeah, and then if you're a sewer user, you'll have that
It goes
as
up a
well.
little bit,
Yeah.
but-
It's about 11 years, I think, till you get back to where you are
Okay.
now. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I do, I
Like
do.
it's
So,
down in this,
so we approve everything, and
You look
it's
at the last sheet.
250, it's $240 more dollars a year in taxes, at most.
unless the sewer user is different. If you're one of the 975 sewer users, it's, yeah.
Okay, all
I
right.
just want to clarify that, yeah.
Yeah, no, oh, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome. Clear as mud. Is there anything else to be said? Anything at all? Sir, if you'd please step up.
Tate Ostegui, 35 Fulham Hill Road. I had a whole series of things that I wrote down from all those keyboard warriors that are on the internet, but I'm gonna skip most of that. There's one thing that we really haven't talked about that's coming down the pike is the regionalization and what that proposal looks like to the town financially.
Regionalization of,
North Brookfield to Quabog. I personally have been
school
to some of-
district, okay.
I personally have been to some of those meetings when they were held, when they weren't canceled. We're looking at a 9% minimal increase in the school budget. And for those of you people that fail to realize this or not, if we don't regionalize, we're still gonna have that bill because we have to do something with this school. I support everyone in this town. I support the police, the fire, the government, but we're obligated to provide schooling for our kids. There's a lot of things that are in that potential regionalization that I don't think the taxpayers are aware of, and they need to go to those meetings. That's another big bill coming down the road. So just want to throw that out there because I don't see that in the payoff because it's not there, but it's a bill coming, and I think we need to be aware of it.
Oh, we've
And
got
one
to get through the approval process of that first, but
And even
yes.
if it doesn't get approved, we
Point
need
well
to balance
taken.
these budgets a little bit better than what we're doing. Because every year, it seems like we live off of just debt exclusion. And then the last comment, it's just a comment. We say the average home. I'd like to know the difference between the average home value and the majority of the home values. Because there is a little bit of a difference there.
Okay. Sir, you had your hand up? Okay. Please step up.
Sheila Orsi, 12 Ward Street, North Brookfield. I would like to move to vote, please.
So you're moving to question, right? Is there a second? You got a lot of seconds out there. All those in favor of moving to question, please raise your hand. Opposed, same sign. And the motion carries. We'll move to question. Will the tellers please come forward? Again, we're going this direction, so come down here to get your ballot. A yes vote means you approve of this motion to expend the monies as listed. A no vote means that you don't like the project. You don't want to vote for, or don't want the project to go on as it's been moved for. Okay, let's go ahead and get started on the voting. We got quite a few to do tonight. The ballot you want goes in the wooden box. The ballot you don't want goes in the bag. Okay?
Just get up and walk around. If they say something, I'll come after them.
I'm so good at talking in public.
Ballot you want in the box, one you don't want in the bag. I'll put that in the notes for a future meeting. The ballot you want in the box, the one you don't want in the bag.
How you doing, Katie? I'll talk to you after.
There's a stranger I haven't seen in a couple of years. How are you? Good to see you.
Tara, now that we've talked about the buzzers, I see the socialization a little bit more.
And this could have been done like that.
Right.
Less than a minute. Just saying.
I know. It's just funny how it like
Has everyone
amplifies
cast
when
the
they talk about
ballot?
it. You notice it?
Not yet. 2 more to go. Okay. All right, you guys move along. You're up.
Any exertion. Ask my poor husband.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're not supposed to pull the logs out of the woods and stuff. I mean, he's gonna have to give you a break somewhere.
Well, you know, yeah, so I had my break. He's not looking to have another one. Roads are really bad out there, so. And John, everyone loved your idea. It's a no-brainer.
Talk and count. What are you doing with the ones that torn down? Huh? I know, you should have to throw that one out. Both of those, yeah. Anything that's a whole ballot, throw it out. Okay, the tally is in. The votes were 29 no, 89 yes. The motion carries. Now, again, we're going to move into, before everybody does the communion run that came for just the fire department, Article 18. To see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money to expend, to be expended with the approval of the Board of Selectmen to pay the costs of designing and constructing a sewer system improvements, including the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto, which amount shall be expended in addition to the $13.1 million previously appropriated by the town for this purpose, and further, to see if the town will authorize the treasurer, with the approval of the select board, to borrow said sum pursuant to general law, chapter 44, section 7(1), or any other enabling authority for such purpose as to issue bonds and notes for the transfer thereof or take any action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town appropriate $3,300,000 to be expended with the approval of the Board of Selectmen to pay costs of designing and constructing sewer system improvements, including all costs incidental and related thereto, and that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, is authorized to borrow said amount pursuant to General Law, Chapter 44, Section 7(1), or any other enabling authority for such purpose, and to issue bonds and notes of the town therefore, provided, however, that this appropriation and borrowing authorization shall be contingent upon passage of a Proposition 2.5, so-called debt exclusion ballot question pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 21CK.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said on this motion? Anything at all? Yes, sir.
Tate Ostigi, Fulham Hill Road. Can someone just clarify why we have two motions, two articles?
Can the superintendent speak
Two
up?
separate ones?
Good evening, Jim Nyberg, Sewer Superintendent. There's two articles because we are actually appropriating a larger sum of money than just the $3.3 million. However, we have to separate the appropriation between the tax base and the sewer users into two separate articles.
And one more question. Can someone answer the question about all the rumors of the bids that are coming in that are way higher than this? Or is that just strictly rumors?
Way higher meaning what, sir?
Like it's almost doubled now that the real bids are coming in?
So the real bids yes, the real bids are expensive. The total project cost is about $23 million. But we're including the $13.1 million that was already approved in these totals. And of that $13.1 million, we got a $9.8 million grant to do this.
Okay, so the new bids are in and this is the final numbers?
These are the final numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else to be said? Step up, please. Could you folks find a seat, please?
Eric Evie, 18 Ocam Road. Can you explain the mandate that is required for the sewer?
Sure. The mandate for this was started with our last NIPD's permit update, which required us to remove phosphorus down to a level of 0.1 milligrams per liter. When the treatment plant was designed, it was designed to achieve phosphorus down to 1 milligram per liter. They're asking us to remove 10 times more phosphorus now.
And can you tell me what the cost of that mandate is?
Cost of that mandate, all of the affected equipment for the treatment process are included in this. So we're looking at a cost of approximately a totality cost of $23 million to appropriate all the equipment and make repairs to the facility to meet this goal. We looked at several technologies when we went down the initial path for the facilities plan. This was, at the time, the cheapest option to go down after. The next option back in 2019 was about $6 million more.
Okay. Go ahead.
Sheila Orsi, how number? 12 Ward, so used to saying this every day. 12 Ward Street, North Brookfield. What is the, what's the word I want to use? Yeah, what's the penalty if we don't do this?
Typically, Mass DEP and US EPA will fine entities around $10,000 a day and upwards of $25,000 or more dollars per day of non-compliance. If you look at that, that's about $3.6 million a year in potential fines at $10,000 a day.
Okay, there was a hand back in the back. Okay, great. Anything else to be said? Now's the time. Yes, sir.
Rick Bolger, 19 Elm Street. Question everybody's got again, we had before. What is the total cost? We had these sheets a moment ago. Can we just know what this would cost us on top of what we just voted for? So we know what the cost is?
So if you look at the last sheets, as the first article had passed, in the third colored column over, which would be the gray column, it says taxpayers and sewer users. You're looking right now at approximately a $400 tax payment. Was that correct, Allison? Okay. So you're looking at a total increase of a maximum of estimated $215 increase per year, and that is only for 1 year. As Allison has stated before, it will go back down after about 10 or 11 years back to what we're paying or less today.
Okay. Anything else to be said? Anything at all?
Same guy was just here. What page are you on? I don't see what I'm looking at here is the third page.
With the yellow box in the corner?
Yep.
Okay.
On the blue, so it's got all sewer debt, sewer users, non-sewer users. The first, 2023 is $159. That's the sewer, that's the increase? Or that's right now?
Can you step up to the mic so we can hear your answers?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
So the 159 is right now. Is that correct? What we're paying towards this project?
Sheila LeBlanc, 58 Shore Road. Right now, all sewer users, $159 a year that you pay in sewer fees goes towards current sewer debt, okay? This is twofold, because one article is going on the taxpayer for $3 million, and then the next article is on for 6.6, going on strictly the sewer users. So that's where you're gonna combine the average single-family home to the all sewer, the column under the yellow. That will be the sewer users that have to pay that. So your sewer debt, if this next article approves, is gonna go from 159 up to 264.
Right.
And then, but on your tax, you're gonna, if 400 now, it's gonna go up to 436. So you're basically gonna pay 264 on your sewer next year for the debt and 436 on your taxes.
So we're not talking about what we talked about earlier, an extra $200 for we're talking about $400 or $500 or $600 more, correct?
I would say you're probably closer to correct.
I'm not good at math, but
Yeah.
small numbers I can do.
I think you might be able to get more details at home.
I need to know what it is now. Thank you.
Is there anything else to be said? Anything at all? If not, will the tellers please come forward? Okay, if you could, and again, same way we did it last time. The ballot that you drop in the box is the vote that you want. The one that you drop in the bag is the vote you don't want.
place to say, hey, I need more money. Why do they feel they can suck us dry?
Second week of May? No, actually, no.
Okay, maybe it's freezing. We haven't been there. It could be. But, as you said, take the $24 budget, now take the building out.
When that bill comes in, you're right. Don Smith. I was former chairman of the finance committee. We've been discussing this for 10 years, minimum. They think they're gonna save money. They're not gonna save money. We had something 10 years ago.
Which day?
I said, well, you still live in the town, and the town has to have it, and you want the town to have it.
We're almost there, 1 year. Hey, how you doing? I'm doing. Well, I guess, yeah. It's a little long. Yeah, I just, it's a little.
Yeah, I heard her say that. I heard her say that. Oh, this one is, oh, yeah.
All right. You're welcome.
No worries.
Obviously.
play with, he can play around.
Well, and he has two older cars. He'll fix cars, my daughter's already.
No school gives us, no school, schools on the garage, like the tens of thousands of dollars. No, they don't have insurance.
You can't change it. He's like, oh, yeah, my car, and open it, which just opens the car. It's like telling you how, yeah, he told me. Well, and I said to him, I said, you told me how to do it. Please, I don't know what you're talking about, and I can figure it out. I go, okay. I go, so you take the belt? No, you fix the belt, right? Because I know that can be tricky. You move the things so you can get to the belt.
I went to the initial
And he
meeting.
still wouldn't. I don't know what he kind of, he ended up just
Are you one of the
deciding
three?
that.
You just sit in.
Oh,
You're speaking. I wanted to go. Them guys.
But anyway, he went to DHS to get some insert security.
No, that's good.
But here we said he's a huge guy. He's almost 6'4", very large, and so there was this picture of him pulling in the Miata. They wouldn't have anyone pulling the cars for him. He's in the Miata, the head, the windshield is
It's like sticking out.
someone took a picture or something. He's riding in the metal car.
The votes are in, 27 no, 83 yes, motion carries. Article 19. To see if the town will vote to raise, appropriate, or transfer from the sewer enterprise funds a sum of money to pay the cost associated with the sewer upgrade project or take any action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to appropriate from sewer enterprise funds the sum of $6,600,000 to pay for the cost associated with the sewer upgrade project, including all costs incidental and related thereto.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said on this? Anything at all? Let's see, this is from... All right, we're transferring this to the superintendent. We're transferring this from... Is this this going to be part of the Prop 2.5, or is it? We are borrowing, okay, all right. Anything else to be said? Anything at all? Will the tellers come forward, please?
See, you thought you were done. I'm gonna grab Article 2. Who seconded both articles? Who seconded? You got it. Oh, yeah, I got the first one. I thought that was great. Scare me when you say that. I woke up though. That's good.
Living the dream.
Like that.
I have 2 pages I was going to speak, but one of my comments is, I equate this as, you can't pay anything for that. One of my forms,
How you doing, baby? How you loving your house? Did you sell it already? No, I want to though. Yeah?
It might be on the market soon.
Yeah?
mine's only worth 300,000. That's the average person.
Yeah, well, mine's on Main Street and
Yeah.
it's 2 buildings, so it's worth 420,000 right now.
I don't know that I.
Where I get that, if I sold it,
And you got a lot of doors, and the ceiling, yeah. So like the splatter, you know what I mean?
Right,
So,
right. Oh, I'm
yeah,
paying
yeah.
6, 7.
We did the best we could. Yeah, yeah.
There's like a minimum.
That's good. How you doing?
I wish I could say good, but I
Well, I just asked, I said, Jen, what's the dollar amount when we have to put a ballot vote? We don't need to over $10,000. Hence why all these buildings are free. If the vote is for something that's over $10,000, you have to put a ballot vote.
Bye, Mrs. P.
You guys are leaving?
Yes.
I don't know. Wait till mine. Yeah, probably.
What's yours on?
Number 8, 1 and 2 for Complete Streets. Okay.
I don't want to stay till 8.
Stay till, it's still 8 o'clock, so it is 8 o'clock, so. So we should see, a hard number of time. Just the money, is it? Years ago, what?
You know, some people are having a hard time putting food on their table right now. You know, and they just want to put in a museum at the fire station.
They did talk about for the old building though, that even though we're appropriating the money, they think that they might not do that for like many years. They're just gonna move the highway. I was just gonna say, like,
Why do we need to vote on it right
on the either. Well, because we need to move the firehouse and the fire station into highway.
We're at record high inflation. People can't put food on their tables and feed their families.
Right.
What are we supposed to do? Go rob and steal so we can pay them?
Right.
You know what I mean? Not everybody makes $100,000.
I know.
And we were honestly promised anybody making under $400,000 was money back.
Right.
We all know that's a lie too.
Oh, all right.
Because the money is so high. We're burning the candle at both ends.
Right.
And eventually it's just going to burn itself up.
Right. Well, that's why I started to 1 to 4-inch. And mushroom heights.
I know it, right?
Grow herbs in my yard for my own medicine.
I have chickens for
Learning how
that
to do
reason.
That's okay.
I have a steady supply of protein every
There
day
you go,
because
you
of my
get
chickens.
chickens. Yep.
And then
We
when
thought
that
about
gives
doing
up,
chickens.
Good. Chicken.
But I'm like, we can't get people to watch our dogs when we're going on vacation. I'm like, who's gonna watch the chickens stick? Like,
You can leave for a week.
and leave the chickens for a week?
Absolutely. You get an automatic door, so they go in at night by themselves. Make sure they have enough water for their feet, and then you have a feeder that will feed itself daily. You can definitely, it's made from like it's not even, you make it yourself. It's made out of like foreign sewer pipe.
What they need?
Yeah, they won't just like gorge themselves?
No,
they do. Because you know what, the food, I found this out, the food goes into the crop,
Yeah.
and they can only fill the crop so much, and then it moves down to the stomach, so they can't go great. Because Logan just dumped a ton of food everywhere, and I'm like, oh no, it's outside, and I go and see it.
Having too much food out and on the ground
Yeah.
will more attract rats than anything else.
Oh, that's not good.
No, but if you have it in,
Like a cylinder or
Yeah.
something like that?
It's like if you can't build, although that's not you, if you can't build, your coop is.
We have so you can build, right? A lumber.
Yeah.
So you can build.
Well, I'm not really good at building.
Not either.
I made it out of pallets and wood, plywood I got on Marketplace.
Oh, that's really good.
Oh,
They actually have a place on Shelton I just saw on, online. Pallets galore.
Flexcon. You just go there.
Flexcon too?
Oh, they'll make you all the pallets, and they have big ones.
Really?
Big ones. Not, and bigger than the ones at Vibrant.
Interesting.
Like some of them are even 6 feet long, 4 feet by 6 feet. Put a couple of those together,
Right.
you start building walls. Where there's a will, there's a way. You go on YouTube and look up like DIY chicken coop ideas.
I'm gonna make a chicken tunnel that's gonna go around my garden.
Right.
So you put a little archway with the packet.
And then they can like poop over your garden and put the nutrients right back in your garden for you.
Around, otherwise it destroys the thing.
You don't want to put it fresh in that soil. You don't want it going out to your crops.
Plants. Right.
It'll kill them. It's too hot. Too much nutrients.
But if you go around.
What you do
Okay.
with the chicken coop is you put it all in a pile and it'll compost itself.
Right.
Compost itself. Or if you want to use it within a couple weeks, fill up a 55-gallon drum, you put a whole bunch of poo in there, some leaves,
And
a
just
little
like
bit of
you
dirt.
tell them to make your own compost.
Fill it up with water
Oh.
and let it sit out in the sun, and it'll make like a compost tea. Then you take, I have 12 right now. I'm getting 6 more. I'm getting 6 more.
Yeah.
But what you do is you do like 1 part to 3 parts water. After you make this concentrate and it sits in there
Yeah.
for a couple weeks, you just take like a quart, mix it into 3 quarts of water,
Yeah.
and there's your fertilizer. And it'll fertilize just about everything, tomato plants, everything.
We put it
Wow.
on a straw down.
Yeah.
Because they don't like their feet to get cold and they
Yeah.
scratch around in it. And then so you can clean out that straw and go put it right on the
Don't
garden.
clean it out. Just keep throwing it in.
Well, I also have a compost. Like I clean out the poop and I put it in the compost.
I clean my chicken coop, the inside of clean it in the spring. And it keeps them,
Yeah.
it keeps the chicken warm. I don't have, because I don't have heaters.
Right,
But it does, it insulates it.
And chickens are hard.
I haven't had any chickens die yet.
Times I put like
Raccoons.
Yeah.
Raccoons are all I have to worry about.
Yeah.
They're the only thing that's killing my chickens. Every fall. Oh yeah. That's all they leave, or they take the head and leave the rest of the body. Oh, I have a storage container right next to the chicken coop next fall. I'm gonna be up there with my pellet guns and I'm gonna get them suckers because they killed over 30 chickens. I wish I could just trap them and move them, but yeah, they leave the body and just take the head. It's a murder scene everywhere.
That's
Blood and
so
guts.
weird. That's so weird. Good conversation. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Good to see you.
Okay, the tally is 19 no votes, 77 yes votes, the motion carries. All right, back on the list. Article 2, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from available funds to the highway equipment capital outlay to pay costs of purchasing a tractor, mower, or taking action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $208,518.47 from capital stabilization to highway equipment capital outlay to pay costs for purchasing and equipping a tractor mower.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said on this? Anything at all? Mr. Metcalf?
A couple of things. After the last 3 votes, I calculate that average tax bill is going to go up by 1,000, if not 1,500 bucks. You know, it was a lot of smoke and mirrors, taking stuff off and putting stuff on. So given that, how much we're going to spend, capital, it's the fund that this money wants to come out of, this 200,000, is really an emergency fund. And right now, all municipalities and businesses are facing emergencies. This BOS back in November or December should have already had a contingency budget meeting for how they were going to get through the next 6 months. Is there any way, and I'll write as a motion, to delay this until next year? Because the 200,000 out of the emergency fund is going to be needed for other true emergencies, not lawn mowing.
You can table, make a motion to table
I'll make a
the
motion to
article.
table this lawnmower until the new fiscal year, starting in, was it July 1?
Can you put that to me in writing? We'll be
I
come
can't
down.
spell all those words.
Well, I have to have it in writing, Jim, otherwise,
Can you run it down? Yep.
Madam Moderator, what was your question?
I don't believe the capital is an emergency fund.
Please go to the mic.
I do not believe it is an emergency
move the microphone down to you.
Ward? Okay, here I am. Capital Stabilization Fund is not an emergency fund. It is set aside specifically for capital expenditures, such as equipment, buildings, anything of that nature. Anything that is $10,000 or more, and it can be used for vehicles and any other capital expenditure. Non-emergency, there is a committee that takes the requests, prioritizes what is going to be spent each year. Money is set aside generally out of free cash at the end of the year into the two stabilization funds, one of which is for capital improvement only. Okay, thank you for that clarification. Mr. Metcalf's motion is to table this till the next fiscal year. Is there a second to that motion? I second. Just a minute. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to this first? Just a second. Anybody? Okay, our highway superintendent? Was there?
Yes, there was a second.
Okay, I didn't hear one. Okay. Did you still want to speak? Yes. Okay, step to the mic.
First off, Jason Benoit, Highway Superintendent. Before you consider this motion, you may want to consider that we do not have a mower right now that's functioning. And it's been in failure for quite some time. We put Band-Aid approaches on it. Our mechanic, who is as talented as he is, has had grave difficulty trying to maintain this thing for the past 3 years. It's cost us hundreds of man-hours and thousands of dollars. And right now, if you table this till July 1st, don't call my office when the roadsides need to be mowed. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Metcalf?
2 points. I've been on committees and school committees and so forth for, seems like 100 years. And stabilization fund to all of us over those years has been an emergency fund, not a reservoir for capital expenditures. Maybe it's changed with the new regime, but that's what it's always been over the years. Secondly, the highway department has one of the biggest collections of toys of any town around. In fact, it's got twice as many as most area towns. Even the Board of Selectmen have said that the highway department now should have all their toys. If the lawns are getting so that they need to be mowed and you need a mower, I'd suggest we start selling some of the surplus toys that are around the yard out there, because we're in a tight budget crisis. It's inflationary and it's going to be recessionary. And we can't be screwing around just buying more and more new stuff and adding it to the tax rolls. Thank you.
Okay. In checking my rules here, I'm a little out of order on this motion, on the motion to table. Ideally, my rule book says that we're not allowed to discuss the actual motion. We have to just go ahead and vote on it. So that being said, it requires a 2/3 to table a motion. So those that are not, and we're going to vote it in reverse, those that are not in favor of tabling this, please raise your hand. Those that are in favor of tabling this, please raise your hand. All right, I see a no vote, so we do not table it. Mr. Metcalf, thank you for your motion. We're back to the original motion. Do you want me to reread the motion? Okay. Mr. Milad?
I
just wondered if anyone from FinCom could comment on what we have in capital stabilization at the moment and what percentage of a hit this will be.
Earlier this year, funds that were from free cash transferred to the capital stabilization fund. And right now, our best guess is that there's about $280,000 there. There are two stabilization funds. One, as Mr. Metcalf says, is for emergency purposes. The other, the capital stabilization, is, as Bob Locatelli mentioned, for capital purchases such as this type of equipment.
Thank you for that clarification. Absolutely.
For everybody out there that thinks this is a lawnmower to mow grass, it is not. It's the actual over the road, on the side of the road, brush mower that the highway uses to maintain the sides of the roads, to cut the bamboo, clear up the stone walls. It's not a lawnmower, like Mr. Metcalf kind of generalized, we're buying a lawnmower. It's not a lawnmower. It's a, I don't know what you call it.
Gooseneck.
Over the rail mower. Jason has done a fabulous job, and our highway mechanic in maintaining the old one. It does not run. They've spent thousands and thousands on this thing, plus the man hours to do it. He's got a good price through the multiple municipal bid way you do that, and he's actually getting money for a trade-in for the old one, which what they're giving us for that is unprecedented, because it's like a big piece of steel with tires on it. But it does not run. If this doesn't go through until down the road, they cannot clear the sides of the roads, all the roads in town. And that's what you used to see Todd Taylor do, the guy with the beard. He used to cut all the roadsides and do all that. So that's the mower that we're talking about. It's not a zero turn or something for $200,000. This piece of equipment, the one we had is what, 25, 26 years old, and it's done. So this one, hopefully we can get the same amount of time out of it. They have one at the tractor place now, and it can go into use as soon as this thing gets bought and paid for. And this is something else needed for the town. It's not gonna raise your taxes. The money's already there.
Okay. Sheila?
The balance in the capital improvement stabilization as of the end of February was $327,000.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification. Is there anything else to be said? Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. Anything else to be said? Anything at all? Was that a hand up back there? No, okay, sorry. I just saw a hand go up. I wasn't sure if it was you. Okay, this requires 2/3 also, because we're removing it from stabilization, so we'll vote it in reverse. Those that are not in favor of withdrawing this money, please raise your hand. Okay, we have 2. It requires 2/3. It makes it much easier for me to get a grip on how many votes are cast by voting it backwards. So those that are not in favor of spending that money or withdrawing that money from the stabilization account, please raise your hands. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 no. All right, those that are in favor of spending that money, please raise your hand. Okay, it's more than 2/3. Great. Thank you very much. That carries. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of $4,485 from the Finance Committee Reserve Fund to the library salaries account or take any action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $4,485.60 from Finance Committee Reserve Fund to Library Salaries Account.
Okay, is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said on this motion? Yes.
Hello, I'm Peg Bodine, Chair of the Library Trustees, 71 New Braintree Road. About a week and a half ago, our library director retired, and we hired someone to take her place. This amount of money is twofold. One, it's with the Finance Committee and the Select Board's recommendation. There's a slight and modest salary bump for the incoming director. The second part of it is that there'll be a 2-week training period that the outgoing library director will help with the new director, show her how to pay the bills, where the accounts passwords are, and stuff like that.
Okay, great. Anything else to be said on that? Anything at all? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of $6,000 from the Finance Committee reserve to the police overtime or take any action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $6,000 from Finance Committee Reserve to police overtime.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said on this motion? Anything at all? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hands. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $120.50 from the Board of Health bacterial analysis to prior year unpaid bills or take any action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $120.50 from Board of Health bacterial analysis to prior year unpaid bills.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said? Anything at all? Because this is a prior year bill, it requires 9/10 vote to pass. So again, I'm going to vote this in reverse. Those that are not in favor of paying this bill, please raise your hand. Those that are in favor of paying this bill, please raise your hand. Great, thank you very much. Motion carries. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $30,000 from free cash to the school expenses or take any action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $30,000 from free cash to school expenses.
Is there a second? I need a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said on this motion? Anything to be said? All those in favor signify by raising your hands. Opposed, same sign. Okay, we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 no. The motion carries. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $30,000 from free cash to judgments/settlements to pay for a settlement in a lawsuit filed against the town or take any action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $30,000 from free cash to judgment settlements to pay for a settlement in a lawsuit filed against the town.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said on this motion? Yes, sir, please step up and identify yourself.
Salvatore Bransford, 331 North Main Street. I'd just like to know what this money's for and why the school insurance isn't paying for a lawsuit and you're asking us to come out of pocket.
So with payroll, the town is responsible, not the school, and the insurance is paying for some of it. So after we pay the bill, we'll get $5,000 back from the insurance company.
why is it being put on the taxpayers? Town offices have insurance too. Why can't your insurance cover the balance? Why do we have to pay for this? We didn't make the mistake, your superintendent did.
Because the town is responsible for payroll.
Okay, but it's not a payroll issue. It's a matter of somebody doing something that they shouldn't have done. Now the taxpayers are liable for it. It doesn't make sense that we have to pay for it.
Okay, so the allegations
For us
contained,
ignorant,
the allegations contained in the complaint discuss the failure to pay wages. Some of the allegations were failure to pay at all, and some were simply that the wages were paid late. Therefore, the wages have to be taken up by the town because the town is who pays the wages. When a wage claim is made in Massachusetts, if it's determined that a person is owed any wage at all, then they're automatically entitled to every penny of their legal fees, plus 3 times the amount of the wage they are owed. While we believe that this case lacks merit, the cases like this have been judged against municipalities. So there is no case history that has municipalities winning. So it's cheaper for us to settle it than to go to court.
Why can't it come out of the school money? It's their problem.
Because the town is responsible for payroll.
So that, okay, I'm done.
Okay. Is there anything else to be said on this motion? Anything at all? All those in favor signify by raising your hands. Opposed, same sign. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have 11. Okay. The motion carries. All right, Article 8, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $31,738 from free cash to prior year unpaid bills, and further to transfer the sum of $7,262 from free cash to the Board of Selectmen Downtown Development Engineering expense to pay for the cost associated with the Complete Streets project or take any action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
This is 2 articles.
I know.
Okay. Yep.
2 motions, yeah.
Yep, well, 2 motions. Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $31,738 from free cash to prior year unpaid bills to pay for costs associated with the Complete Streets project.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said on this motion? Anything at all? Now, again, this first motion is for a non-paid bill from last year, so we have to have 9/10 to pass it. So I'm going to vote it in reverse. Those that are not in favor of paying this bill, please raise your hand. Those that are in favor of paying this bill, please raise your hand. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Is there a second motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $7,262 from free cash to Board of Selectmen Downtown Development Engineering expense to pay for the costs associated with Complete Streets project.
Okay, is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said on this motion? Anything at all? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hands. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from the police part-time salary to the police overtime account or take an action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $4,000 from police part-time salary to police overtime.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said on this motion? Anything at all? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Oh, was that a no vote? No, okay. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $400 from the Board of Selectmen townhouse repairs to the Board of Selectmen office supplies to cover a negative balance or take any action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $400 from Board of Selectmen townhouse repairs to Board of Selectmen office supplies to cover a negative balance.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said on this motion? Anything at all? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Just 3, no? Motion carries. Article 11, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $333.32 from the Board of Selectmen Selectmen's salary to the Board of Selectmen General Insurance, or further to transfer the sum of $8,435 from the Board of Selectmen Technology to the Board of Selectmen General Insurance to cover a negative balance or take any action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $333.32 from Board of Selectmen, Selectmen Salary, to Board of Selectmen General Insurance, and further to transfer the sum of $8,435 from Board of Selectmen Technology to Board of Selectmen General Insurance to cover a negative balance.
Okay, is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said on this motion? Anything at all? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hands. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to accept the provisions of Mass General Law, I'm horrible with Roman numerals, BII, Chapter 41, Section 19K, additional compensation for the clerk, town clerk, or take any action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to accept the provisions of Mass General Law, Title 7, Chapter 41, Section 19K, additional compensation in the amount of $1,000 annually for certified town clerk.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said on this motion? Anything at all? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hands. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is that a no vote? Motion carries. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to accept the provisions of Mass General Law, Title 7, Chapter 41, Section 1B, to have the elected playground committee become an appointed Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Committee to be known as the Parks and Recreation, and to further combine Parks and Recreation with the town beach and town forest to create a 5-member committee or take any action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to accept the provisions of Mass General Law, Title 7, Chapter 41, Section 1B, to have the elected playground committee become an appointed Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Committee to be known as Parks and Recreation, and to further combine Parks and Recreation with Town Beach and Town Forest to create a 5-member committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said on this motion? Yes, sir.
Sal Bransford, 331 North Main. So, as you guys, some of you guys know, I was the chairman on that playground committee. And we had a hard enough time finding 2 other people other than me that was doing everything. So how are we gonna get 5 people to do even more work, not get paid, and then have a supervisor that does get paid? How does that work? Because I know as a volunteer, I would tell the supervisor to do it themselves if they're getting money for it.
Okay, that's a selectman question.
We've had problems getting people to run for playground and then do the work. It's not the work that has to be done. It's the follow-up with the paperwork, the grant writing, the things like that. I actually have a few people right now that have volunteered on the Town Forest Committee who are looking forward to working on this whole new Parks, Rec, and Open Space Committee. And they're doing a fabulous job with Town Forest, so it's all gonna be combined. And nobody gets paid.
There wouldn't be a town supervisor for the Park and Recs Department that gets an
No.
annual pay?
No, never has been.
Okay. Well, I hope it works.
Another clarification too, this takes an elected position on the playground committee and makes it into an appointed position. So anybody on there would not have to go through the rigors of election for a term. It would be on an appointed basis.
58 Shore Road, why appointed versus voted?
Back to the selectmen.
Basically, to Tara's point that we're having a hard time getting people to run. And in general, sometimes people ask us things, they don't want to run for an office. So if someone's inclined to help out, then they can be appointed to something rather than run for election.
Okay, I don't know if that answered your question, Sheila, but,
No, not really, but.
okay. Anything else to be said? Sheila, and
I have a question. Sheila Orsi, 12 Ward Street. When we change, and I don't know anything about this, and maybe there isn't an answer tonight, but when we change a position from being elected to appointed, I know that right now we have a line item in our finance committee for like Parks and Rec in town and stuff like that. Is that gonna change all of that? And how does that make that person responsible? Do they still need to be, I think that they would have been able to make those decisions on their own as a board. Do they now need to bring all those decisions to the board and have those voted on in order to ensure that the finances are being used correctly? How does that change because of an appoint versus an elect? I don't know. I'm just curious.
can you enlighten her on that, any of that?
I don't believe it would change anything as far as the accounting process, but it might, and we might just pool them all into one account. But yes, they would have to, there would be a chairman of that committee, and it would run basically like the sewer department runs as an appointed committee. And then any major expenditures would have to go through the Board of Selectmen.
Okay,
I was just, Tashina at Union Street, I was just curious if this would help shift the responsibility of taking care of the common grounds to the town. So would that become like the highway department's responsibility if it's an appointed committee and not be on volunteers then?
It would not be deflected to the highway department.
So it'd still be reliant on volunteers to take care of the common. This would not help that?
Basically, yes.
Thank you.
okay. Anything else to be said? Anything at all? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hands. Opposed, same sign. 1, 2, was that a vote? 3, 4, no? Motion carries. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to establish under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E and 1/2, a revolving account for fees received for planning board hearings and costs associated with those hearings, and to furthermore add to this revolving fund to the funds voted on annually or take any action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town take no action on this article.
Is there a second? The article or the motion?
Oh, gosh, I want to keep them tonight.
Was there a second?
Yes.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said on this motion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hands. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to establish under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E and 1/2, a revolving account for the fees received for the Zoning Board of Appeals and costs associated with those hearings, and furthermore, to add a revolving fund to the funds voted on annually or take any action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town take no action on this article.
Is there a second? Second. Been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said on this motion? Anything at all? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to establish under Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 3, a revolving account for fees received from the lease of storage units at 65 Donovan Road and costs associated with those units, and to furthermore add this revolving fund to the funds voted on annually or take any action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to establish under Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 3, a separate account for funds received from the rental or lease of storage units at 65 Donovan Road and costs associated with those units, and to further accept that portion of Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 3, to authorize that any balance in this account at the end of any fiscal year to remain in the account to be expended for the purposes of upkeep and maintenance of said property.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said on this motion? Mr. Metcalf. Then you, Tate. You want to go first?
Tate Ostigi, Fulham Hill Road. Currently, who maintains these storage facilities?
Right now, we haven't had to do maintenance to them, but the storage units, some of the garage doors, the rollers need to be repaired. There are approximately 64 units. About 40% are rented, and that would be the money that we would use to make the repairs on the buildings. Highway, fire, water, sewer, Board of Selectmen, we all have used some of the ones that have not been rented, and we took some of the ones where the doors don't work properly. What we're trying to do is the money that's been coming in is, I believe, they have it in the accountant or treasurer's office. We need to be able to get at that money to make repairs that are needed down there. All in all, they're in good shape, but like I said, some of the doors need to be repaired. We would have to hire an outside firm that does roll-up doors, and we're working on if this goes through and we can get the available funds. There's a little bit of gutter work down there, but all in all, the buildings are in good shape.
Thank you. The reason why I ask is I walk my dog down there occasionally, and there was a couple units that were open. It looked like people just deserted what they had there.
Correct.
And it's pretty gross down there.
Correct.
Pay that kind of money for a piece of property and have it be in that condition.
And we're going through, the three of us have been talking, and we want to go into the units that people haven't paid for 6 months or over, and we don't know who they are because there was no record of who was in some of the units. So those units, we're gonna cut the locks off. So if you got something down there and you haven't paid, I would suggest going and getting it, because we're gonna be cutting locks off in the spring, and we're gonna need dumpsters, and that's where this money will go also, to pay for the dumpsters, to get rid of this stuff. And then some of those we can rent and use for more repairs.
Thank you.
Is there a possibility that stuff can be auctioned off for the benefit of the town?
I don't know that, and there's a question somebody brought up to me last week. If you auction off like they do on TV, I've been in some of them because we had to cut locks because we heard ticking and beeping and stuff. There's personal stuff in there. There's social security numbers in some, there's doctor's records. So you can't just open a locker and say, here you go, like they do on TV. I don't know if you believe that, but that stuff is all fixed and fake. This is not. There's stuff down there. I went into a couple of them. Highway, oh, he's gone. But Highway had a big set of bolt cutters. He came down with me because I wanted somebody there with me, so I wasn't doing it myself. And we opened stuff up. There's motorcycles, there's construction equipment and stuff. If you have it, go get it, but if you haven't paid for it in a year, or we're going between 6 months and a year or more, it's going, how would you auction off somebody else's property? I would say we're just gonna dump it. But that hasn't been decided yet. We still have to talk about that, so.
Okay. Mr. Metcalf.
Yes, along those same lines, Jim Metcalf from High Street. You know, we took a big chunk of industrial zone land off the tax rolls, and now the town owns it and working with it. So it's a real benefit to have this storage unit down there. Not for the town, but I counsel a lot of businesses over the years, and storage units are quite profitable, and the money we could get from them, if we manage it well, would be worthwhile. But it varies state by state what the laws are on forced entry and so forth. So I would just suggest to the BOS to touch base with someone in the storage business and get an idea of whether the town should run it themselves or whether they should subcontract it to a regular storage company. Because it, like I said, it can make a lot of money, but it can also cost a lot of money if we break into some of these things and try to, you know, sell motorcycles.
We haven't broken into them yet, only the ones where we are, and what the ticking was a battery and some kind of equipment that was low. So, and we found out from the treasurer and the accountant last year that we can't use that money as profit because municipalities, I believe, can't make money on that stuff. So we're trying to use it for the repairs and maintenance of the buildings.
You might look into subbing it to an outsider.
That could be, we're talking about it. So it's just coming up where we can get at the money right now.
Mr. Milad?
I think that sort of clarified my question, but I just wanted to see, at the moment, you know, and the article says, so any revenues coming from those storage units are going back only into maintenance of the property and nowhere else, right?
Sideline question on that, maybe Sheila can answer it, is do we receive any revenue from the radio tower that's down there?
But any from the radio tower, I don't know what your arrangement is. But the money right now from these units go into the general fund. It will only be after July 1 that the money, the rental money will go into this revolve account. That will be collections after July 1. And that has to be voted, a cap on the expenses at the annual town meeting. This is just to set up the revolve account.
Okay, thank you. Anything else to be said? Madam Moderator.
What is the cost right now to rent one of the units?
$85 a month.
How much?
85, 88.5 rather, excuse me. Let's go with the 80s, yeah, no. Anything else to be said? Okay, all those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $277,832 from the sewer retained earnings to the sewer nitrogen reduction program to cover costs of a nitrogen reduction project or take any action relative thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $277,832 from sewer retained earnings to sewer nitrogen reduction project to cover the cost of a nitrogen project. I knew this was going to be hard. Nitrogen reduction project, including all costs incidental and related thereto.
Great. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said on this, Mr. Superintendent?
I just wanted to let folks know that the money that's being transferred is for the totality of a project. Of this project, we received a grant from the Long Island Sound Futures Fund for purchase and installation of this equipment in the amount of over $208,000. All in all, this will only cost the sewer department about $70,000.
Excellent. Mr. Metcalf.
I'll just wait.
Can somebody run the mic to Mr. Metcalf and, so we don't have to make him walk all the way down there?
Buck on my taxes. Years ago, we had a problem with the company that now, or that was in the pot farm building. I forget the name of them.
Green Gold?
And
Oh,
the issue
no,
was metals
Madix.
flowing into affluent. And so our sewer department did some testing at that point to see, and it was found to be negligible. However, in talking with nitrogen, that pot farm is using nitrogen heavy on the plants. And they've got to be running it down in through sewer drains and so forth. And I just would ask you if you did a check on their effluent to see if excess nitrogen is flowing in from that plant. Because they pay us hardly anything. I mean, the story they gave was great, but maybe we can charge them a little more to clean up their nitrogen. I can tell you that the nitrogen numbers on the influent of the plant are more significantly impacted by the septage receipts that we receive at the facility. On the pot farm? No, from the septage tanks that pump out in people's yards and other businesses and whatnot who are not directly connected to a sewer system. Okay, I'm not trying to be cute. I'm just saying we had problems with the company before. And when you were talking nitrogen, that whole business is high nitrogen usage. So there might be a heavy flow of effluent there. It's worth a check.
Okay. Any other questions for the superintendent while we have him up here? None seen? Okay. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'd entertain a motion to dissolve this meeting. Okay, one at a time. Who made the motion? Chet did. Is there a second?
Ann Adams has a question.
Okay, Ann, did you have a question or are you just voting? Okay, out of here. Sheila Orsi did the second. All those in favor signify by waving goodbye.